Hello, my name is Masha and today I want to teach you how to make this beautiful friendship bracelet. This video is sponsored by Skillshare, an online learning community. More about them at the end of the video. This bracelet is really cute. I also really like the colors that I chose here. It kind of reminds me of a beach, more so like Brighton Beach in the UK. It's got little houses, and these colors kind of remind me of the color palette of some of those houses. I think it's really cute. This is a fairly easy bracelet. A lot of these rows are just candy stripe rows, but there is some difference, of course, with the squares. Going into this tutorial, I expect that you know how to make the basic knot, so I will only be naming knots rather than showing you how to do them. If you need a tutorial on the basic knots, I'll leave that linked in the card and in the description. This bracelet is really fun to make, so let's learn how to make it. For this bracelet, you're going to need 4 colors plus an outline color. You're going to need 2 strings of each for the individual colors, 1 meter in length, or 1 string of each 2 meters in length in the case that you're doing a loop, which I won't recommend because it's going to be a bit tricky to separate your strings in this one. So I recommend starting with a half triangle end like I am, or something similar. And for the outline color, you are going to need 4 strings per color, 1 meter in length, or 2 strings, 2 meters in length if you're doing a loop, which I, once again, don't recommend. So I'm going to be cutting 2 strings for each of the colors and 4 strings for the outline. This pattern was originally made with a bunch of backward knots. Personally, I prefer making forward knots over backward knots, so I flipped the pattern, and that's how I'm going to be explaining it. It doesn't really make any difference, it's just the knots are the opposite of what they are represented in the original pattern. I just find this a bit easier to make. So let's talk about how I arranged my strings. I made a half triangle end. I won't be explaining how to do one. I have a separate tutorial which will be linked in the card and in the description. All you need to know is the string order. That is also all you need to know if you're making any other start. If your strings are in this order, you can follow this tutorial. And this is the string order. I started off with an outline color, which is white for me, then 2 strings of the first color, another white string, 2 strings of the second color, another white string, 2 strings of the third color, another white string, and 2 strings of the last color. These colors are arranged in the order that I want to see them in my bracelet. The first 4 rows of this bracelet are super simple. They are just candy stripe rows. That's as easy as you can get. So for the first 4 strings here, the white, the 2 strings of the first color, and another white, we are just going to be making a candy stripe going from left to right in forward knots. And since I assume that you already know how to make a candy stripe row, which is just forward knots from left to right on each individual string, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now that those candy stripe rows are done, we are ready to start the squares. We start with the 2 yellow strings on the edge. Since they're both the same color, I'm just going to do a forward knot between them. We then grab the next string, which is this white string, and that does a backward knot onto the yellow. We then approach 2 red strings. With the yellow string, we first do a forward knot, then a forward backward knot. The next string, a white string, is going to do a backward knot onto the red string. Then again, we approach 2 blue strings. The red string does a forward knot on the first one and a forward backward knot on the second one. We encounter another white string. That one does a backward knot onto the blue. And now with the darker blue, we do a forward and a forward backward knot onto the other 2 blue strings. And for the last knot of this row, the white string does a backward knot onto the light blue string. And for the last row, before the pattern repeats, we're going to be doing something very similar. We start with the 2 strings on the edge, and we do a backward knot between them with the white onto the yellow. Then with this yellow string, we first do a forward backward knot onto the red, then this yellow string will do a backward knot onto the red. Then this white string does a backward knot onto the red. Now with these 3 strings, the red on the left is doing a forward backward knot onto the blue, and after that, the red on the right is going to do a backward knot onto the blue. The white string is going to do a backward knot onto the blue. And for the last time here, the string on the left is going to do a forward backward knot onto the light blue, the string on the right is just going to do a backward knot after that. Then this white string is going to do a backward knot onto the light blue. And finally, the 2 blue strings do a backward knot between each other. And there we go, that's it. That's the entirety of the repeating pattern. To make this pattern again, you can rewind to the beginning of this tutorial and start again with the candy stripe rows. There are timestamps in the description to make this easier for you. Continue making these rows over and over again until the bracelet reaches the length that you want. And because we're making this entire bracelet in a candy stripe row fashion, you can really finish it at any point. I would recommend finishing it after you made all of the candy stripe rows, just because that way it will finish in a similar way to how you started it. Once you're done, you can make a half triangle end. As I said, I have a separate tutorial for that, which is linked in the description, but you can also finish any other way that you would like. I'm gonna go finish this bracelet off camera, and I will see you once I'm done. And this is how the bracelet turns out. I think it's really cute, and I really love the colors here as well, as I said. This one didn't take very long to make at all. Because a lot of the rows are candy stripe rows, it was actually super quick to make, and it looks really cute. If you have any questions on this tutorial, please leave them in the comments down below, and I'll try to answer as many as I can. I post plenty more tutorials. There is a whole playlist, I'll leave that linked in the description as well, and there is more to come. And now that we've learned how to make a brand new bracelet, let's talk some more about learning with today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for crafters and creators like you and me. Have a specific skill you're trying to learn? Skillshare is the perfect place to start. They have crafty classes about cross-stitch and embroidery, or maybe you're looking for ways to start a side hustle. Skillshare has classes on freelancing, entrepreneurship, and so much more. You can find classes that will match your goals and interests. I'm currently looking to level up my graphic design skills, so I'm exploring a class by DKNG Studios called Mastering Adobe Illustrator, and I have learned so much already about different tools and techniques. The first 1,000 people to click on the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Start exploring your creativity today. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring today's video. I also want to remind you that my book, The Beginner's Guide to Friendship Bracelets, is now out worldwide. You can buy it anywhere you typically buy books, and there is also a direct link in the description. And before I go, I want to give a special shout out to my patrons, and especially my top supporters. It is with your support that I'm able to create the videos that I do on this channel, so thank you so much for that. If you also want to become a patron, there is a link in the description for you to sign up to do that. But in any case, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!